Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Andre C. I'm here alone this week. Melball is taking this week off. She will be back next week with some great chop talk, some more stardom, and some more New Japan next week, where we're talking some New Japan of America. But today, I am here to talk about Sakura Genesis 2023. Awesome show. Before we get into that, though, I want to thank our sponsors, Rogue Energy, down there in the bottom right-hand corner. Scan the QR code to get 10% off your order. Go to rogueenergy.com. Use the code OLEPODS for 10% off your order. I just want to thank them very much for sponsoring us and OLE. And then going on, I also want to thank all of our friends over at Our Local Establishment. You can check them out at twitch.tv/OurLocalEstablishment, youtube.com/@OurLocalEstablishment, and Instagram and TikTok at OLE Podcasts. I also want to thank our friends over at Backbreaker Media, youtube.com/@BackbreakerVideo, twitch.tv/MikeTheRef, and youtube.com/@Backbreaker_gaming, where you might just be watching us right now on Backbreaker Video. So thank you very much for watching. Please check us out on Andre Melball Wrestling Talk. But I also want to thank all the people that are watching this video, because we appreciate all of you watching and supporting this show. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below, because we want to hear from you guys. We love hearing from you guys. So please do that. So we are going to get into Sakura Genesis, ladies and gentlemen. This was an amazing show. Happened on April the 8th, 2023. And it starts out with the Shinichi Champion Grand Prix Celebration 6-man tag match. I was very confused because I don't know what Shinichi Champion is. I guess it's a variety show in Japan, and they did something where they won something and they get a 6-man tag match out of it, I guess. So that's what we're getting here. All the participants were announced as they came out, so it was back and forth. So you had El Desperado, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Yo teaming up against the Great Okan, Minoru Suzuki, and Toru Yano. Yano was the first man out for his team, and he was not happy because he kept getting his mortal enemies in Minoru Suzuki and Great Okan. It was really funny. Desperado and Suzuki started out and have a really good wrestling contest, really at the start, going really back and forth. Minoru Suzuki gets an ankle lock. And Desperado screaming very loudly when he got the ankle lock. It was really good. Minoru Suzuki reluctant to tag Toru Yano and then just chop tags him in. And him and Yo, and then Yo gets in, and then Minoru Suzuki gets low bridged out, and it's just this weird spot. And then Minoru Suzuki left, and then Yo tags in, and Desperado comes at him, and Yo low bridges Desperado out of the ring. So it's like nobody likes each other, and it's just giant mess of going back and forth. It's teammates fighting with each other. Yano having to face off against Tanahashi at one point, who is his tag team partner. Lots of weird, fun stuff, because Suzuki and Khan mouthing off at each other, fighting each other on the floor. Yeah, just a fun little opener. In the end, Tanahashi swings the blade, Yano, then Desperado, and Yo starts brawling on the floor. And this is where Tana gets a little distracted, and Yano surprises Tana and rolls him up to get the win. Surprising the ending, didn't expect that. So yeah, great little contest. And we move on to a 6-man tag match. United Empire's Aaron Henare, Francesco Akira, and Jeff Cobb taking on House of Torture's Evil, Show, and Yujiro Takahashi with their Togo. I don't got a lot. House of Torture attack before the bell. Evil gets Akira into an abdominal stretch, and then he grabs, I think, Togo, and then they chain it out to the floor, have them pulling him to get the torch, get it in tighter. House of Torture triple team Cobb, and the Show gets a spear. Cobb kicks out. Into the match comes. Show goes for the wrench, but the ref sees it, just gets distracted, and Togo gets garrote around Cobb. but Cobb stands up with Togo on his back, and in runs Show, and catches Show, spins it, hits it toward the islands with Togo on his back, and Togo is flying as they land, and Cobb pins Show for the win. Simple little match. Yeah, not a lot to it, but it was fine. Catch 2-2, Akira and TJP. Akira accepts the challenge of the Knights of Time. So we're getting Kevin Knight and Kushida versus Catch 2-2. I'm very excited for that. That's going to be an insanely good junior tag match. Like, I'm insanely looking forward to that. I cannot wait for that match. So I very much looking forward to it. So that's pretty much all I got in that match. Again, it's House of Torture. They appear and they do stuff. So that's how I look at those guys now. 6-man tag match. You have LIJ's Bushi, Shingo Takagi, and Tetsuya Naito taking on just 5 guys. Mel. Doki, Taichi, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru with Taka Michinoku. Naito actually attacks Doki before the bell. Doki really using the speed against Naito, but Naito getting the advantage for a little while there. And then Shingo and Bushi help Naito getting when Doki gets a little run and gets a stomp and everything. But Naito gets the advantage back with Shingo and Bushi attacking. Kevin's yelling at Taka Michinoku to make Doki Choki shirts. I really did enjoy that. Taichi and Shingo, when they got in, great striking exchange. Like, those two just smashing the crap out of each other. Really good. And then Taichi getting the big old backdrop. They trade lariats, but Taichi's actually the one, because both guys are known for their pumping bombers, and Taichi with the axe bomber and Shingo with the pumping bomber. But Taichi's the one to drop Shingo. Kanemaru looking really good with brand new gear in this. He gets in, dropped by Shingo. Then Bushi gets in, hits the top rope drop kick into the Bushirooney. Gotta always shout out the Bushirooney. Kanemaru attacks the knee of Bushi, gets the figure 4, and Doki gets a stomp on, comes off top, stomps Bushi, then gets the Doki Choki on Naito, and then Taichi gets a submission onto Shingo, and Bushi ends up tapping out to the figure 4. Doki keeps the choke on the Naito well after they won the match. So I think they're shadowing maybe a singles match between Doki and Naito, which I would be down for, because I would love to see those two go at it. But yeah, quite a fun match. Yeah, again, not much to it. I very much enjoyed the new look for Yoshinobu Kanemaru. I think the new gear suits him. It's a nice change for his character, so I like to see it. And then LIJ, I don't want to shit on them because they're doing well, but they're kind of falling in. They've kind of fallen into this. They're going to feud with just 5 guys because Sonata left them, but they're kind of in this holding pattern of, what are you going to do? What is Naito going to do? What is Shingo going to do? What is Bushi again? We already know what he's going to do. It's something in the junior division, but the question is, what does he do? What do these guys do? And it's a waiting game at this point. Do you see Naito go back to the title match? We don't. We'll get answers on who's going to challenge Sonata, who's going to challenge Sonata and fight this guy next, because we'll get to that towards the end. But yeah, it's a very interesting situation. I got something in my eye. There we go. That's better. That's better. But yeah, it'll be an interesting situation to see where LIJ goes from here, because it's very much, they're in flux. They've lost a major member, and we'll see what they do. But we move on to another 6-man tag. It is Bullet Club's David Finlay, El Phantasmo, and Kenta with Gato taking on the Guerrillas of Destiny, Hikuleo, Tamatonga, and from Chaos, I think, Master Wado. I don't know. No, Master Wado's part of main unit, I think. Yeah. Okay. ELP gives a beanie to the kid wearing LIJ hat. He gives him the ELP beanie, but then Finlay comes out and then takes it off the kid's head and tosses it in the crowd. Finley walks away. So ELP takes his shirt off and covertly gives it to the kid. So, and then Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton talking about Jay White being in AEW. I love that the fact that they're calling back to, because again, eventually there's going to be some kind of crossover there, which will happen at Forbidden Door. So I love the fact that they're talking about Jay White, what he's doing now. Hikuleo with the boots to everyone. ELP and one to ELP, who's coming off the top, which actually looked really good. Finley really vicious in his attacks, really showing good anger, showing good viciousness, really trying to really strongly be a heel. I really do like it. Hikuleo just laying waste to everybody with boots and smashing everybody up. Really looking good. Wada getting a crucifix pin on ELP, but only gets 2 out of that. Wado off the top, but misses ELP, and ELP hits the sudden death super kick, and then the CR2 onto Wado, and then he gets the win. So after the match, Finley hits Tama with the never openweight title, and Kenta hits Hikuleo with his strong openweight title. And then Finley's just going to town on Tama, and then ELP tries to stop Finley, and then Finley hits ELP, and then they brawl, and it's broken up by Kenta, and it seems like, okay, we're gonna. And then Kenta hits ELP, then picks him up, hits him with the go to sleep, and then then Kenta and Gato pick up ELP, and Finley's going to hit him with a Shillelagh, but Taiji Ishimori comes in, and he's ELP's tag partner in the Bullet Club Screws tag team, and Taiji Ishimori turns around and kicks ELP in the nuts, and then Finley hits him with the Shillelagh, and then they all pose over top of ELP. So I'm taking this as the fact that ELP's probably been eliminated from Bullet Club. Now, I really do look forward to seeing what ELP does now that he's no longer part of Bullet Club. Who does he join? To become just 6 guys? You never know. I doubt it. But we don't know. We don't know what's the future for this guy. And I know there's going to be a feud with Finley. That it's bound to happen. We all know it's happening. So we'll see what happens. So they went to an ad and they announced G1 Climax starts July 15th, ends August 13th, and they show him birthday August 10th. So I get a nice New Japan Pro Wrestling birthday present. So I'm very much looking forward to that tournament. Going to be a big summer watching all those matches. So we move on to one of the highlight matches for tonight that I was really looking forward to. You got Mercedes Mone defending her IWGP Women's Championship against Hazuki and Azumi. The biggest thing for Azumi in this match was Mercedes Mone not knowing how to say her name properly, and it was kind of like a really big factor into this. It was really funny, and in the match, she finally calls her Azumi at one point, so I just really did like that. Monet back to her classic Sasha Banks style hair. Didn't have like the colors weaved into it and all that other stuff. It was just dyed colored hair. Chris Charlton says we will get English commentary on the April 23rd show for the Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom show. Super excited. And then Kevin Kelly mentions it's going to be Chris Charlton calling it. So I'm excited. We get Chris Charlton calling a Stardom show for the pay-per-view. I am super excited. I cannot wait to watch it. I just to have English commentary for once with Stardom would be so nice, because I'm used to hearing other Japanese commentary or no commentary at all. So getting to hear somebody speaking to the stories, I'm just going to be able to understand, which is really, really nice. Getting to the match, fast start from all 3 win, arm drags, flips, roll ups, all that stuff. Kevin Kelly and Chris Charlton actually referencing Mercedes' time on the show The Mandalorian, where when she was first there, she was still in WWE, and WWE never mentioned it once. Like, I don't understand that. So they really pushing that this woman is a star. She's in Hollywood now. It's big thing. I do like that they're pushing that. Hazuki gets a boot wash to Monet, and then hits a slam and a senton to her. Lots of crazy stuff. I have so many notes from this. Just Mone getting the forever knees in the corner, like like running her double knees into the corner to see the opponent, like just doing it a few times with the, I'm calling them forever knees because reference to Rocky Romero. Hazuki drops AZM, so Mone is setting up for the moneymaker. Hazuki comes in, drop kicks Azumi off the top, and Azumi hits a code red onto Monet and gets a 2 count. Like, really great spot. Azumi gets the armbar on Hazuki, but Monet ends up breaking up. But then she gets an armbar on both women, which was just impressive as heck. But they get to the ropes. Monet with a backstabber to Hazuki, and then AZM hits a meteor to AZM, but only gets a 2 count on Azumi. Sorry, I rated AZM. I apologize to Azumi. Azumi reverses a backstabber at Monet afterwards and hits a beautiful double stomp and a pin. So much great stuff in this match from all three women. Monet gets Azumi in the Monet maker, and after a roll through, Azumi hits and then Azumi gets a roll through, and then she hits it. They roll through. Monet hits the Monet maker, and has Azumi landing on Hazuki, which takes Hazuki out, and then Monet pins Azumi for the win. Great match from all these women. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Mayu Iwatani gets in the ring for a promo. She says, "Congrats on your defense on April 23rd, Yokohama. The title will belong to Mayu Iwatani." Monet then takes the mic, but doesn't say anything. Just slaps the crap out of Mayu and leaves. Impactful statement. The match from all three of these women was absolutely phenomenal. I honestly didn't think Monet was going to pin Azumi in this, but she did, and that really surprised me. I really thought Hazuki was here to take the pinfall, so Azumi had like an out, but I guess not. Very surprising there. We're going to move on to the NJPW World Television Championship match. Again, all these matches are condensed under 15 minutes, and you can watch this for free on New Japan World because all TV title matches will be on there for free. Quick start, they're trading pins. They trade quite stiff European uppercuts. They're smacking into each other like you're hearing the crack as they're hitting each other with the European uppercuts. Sounded so good. This was European match of the night for me until what happened later. But Sabre working on the right arm of Umino, and Chris Charlton saying it's kind of a disrespect thing because I guess it used to be that you would work the left arm on people so that they wrestled all weekend, hurting their arm, and work the arm so that they can go to their shoot job on Monday and still use the right arm to do their job and do the paperwork, do whatever they need to do. So it's kind of a sign of disrespect to work the right arm, at least what Chris Charlton is saying. Umino ends up slamming Sabre, getting out of the work of the right arm, and gets that beautiful running, like where Sabre's kind of down on all fours and runs and spins to hit the running back elbow. It's really good. Sabre gets a Cobra twist, but Umino tosses him into the rope, so Sabre gets a sunset flip into the front chancery. Then he flips. He's got the front chancery on, so he's sitting there, and Umino goes for the suplex and switches down in, and so Sabre slides out into the rear naked choke, but Umino ends up reversing that, hits a crossroads, and then an inverted Bloody Sunday, but only gets 2 out of it. These two are so good together. Like, I think Sabre is one of the best technical wrestlers to ever exist, and just his character has just flourished so well. So, like, it's so good. Umino versus like a European clutch and gets his own at one point and gets 2. Umino goes for the running neck breaker, but Sabre catches him into an armbar and really stretches it and turns it into like a disarm, flips it over and pulls it into a disarmer style armbar. But Umino ends up getting to the ropes. Umino with the pop-up European uppercut and then the running neck breaker, goes for a death rider, but Sabre gets out, and they just trade strikes until Sabre gets Umino down and hits him with this like sick sounding PK penalty kick. Oh, dude, it sounded brutal. Tornado DDT by Umino. It gets the Death Rider, but Sabre actually kicks out I thought it was over. Kevin Kelly thought it was over. Chris Charlton thought it was over. But Sabre ended up kicking out. Umino gets this like cradle style DDT. And then goes for the Death Rider, but Sabre ends up reversing. Gets a jackknife pin. Steals the win. With only like a minute or two left in the match. Absolutely phenomenal. Sabre actually comes up to Umino after the match, starts chatting with him, and then fist bumps him. So he gives him respect for the limit he took him to. And yeah. And then as he gets off as he's leaving, Sabre stops at English commentary, says that Shane and Mikey will win the tag gold. Shane Hayes and Mikey Nichols will win the tag gold. And that Robbie, the newest member of TMDK, is going to be the next junior champion. So I apologize that this show's been down for a couple weeks. We've had some issues happening around here. And at the New Japan Cup Finals, Robbie Eagles was announced to be the new member of TMDK. So if you watch the Hiromu Takahashi versus Robbie Eagles match from this show, Eagles is all decked out in TMDK gear. So absolutely phenomenal. But this match, these two, Umino, like, I'm actually surprised it didn't put the title on him. This kid is a star. He's going to be the future. He's one of the futures of this company, and you can see it. And I cannot wait to see what they do with this kid, because he's absolutely phenomenal, and I cannot wait for more. So yeah, Sabre, just tremendous as always, technical master. It just this amazing match. Would have been my match of the night if not for what happened in the next match. These two just killed it. Absolutely killed it. But we are moving on to the next match of the evening. And it is the IWGP Tag Team title match. It's Bishamon, Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi versus Aussie Open's Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis. They have Aaron Nari, Francesco Kira, Great O'Connor, and Jeff Cobb at ringside with them. Dude, Aussie Open's been working their asses off. In the last 10 days, they say that they've had 3 tag team championship matches. March 30th at Multiverse of Matches. March 31st at Supercard of Honor. And then August 8th here, getting the IWGP Tag Team title match. I predicted they were going to win all 3 of those both those matches, but I was wrong. And I was very disappointed by that because I wanted them to be triple champions. But we'll just move on. New gear for Aussie Open looked really, really good. Davis starts it out, power advantage over Yoshihashi. But Fletcher comes in and Yoshi ends up running Davis out of to the floor, and Goto tags in. They double team Fletcher, but Yoshi and Goto are sent to the floor, and Davis gets back in and hits a beautiful suicide dive to Goto. And then we got this brutal looking. Fletcher goes up, hits a moonsault from the second rope to the outside, but cracks his head off the barricade like here, and it just starts bleeding, like bloody. So they have to actually bandage up his head, and Fletcher gets back in the match. Dude, I might have a major concussion, but they're letting him wrestle. It was crazy. Just the smashing and just from everything. Beautiful running into Guri in the corner by Fletcher when he gets tagged back into Yoshihashi. You look like he just killed him. Beautiful half and half by Fletcher after reversing a Yoshihashi suplex, and then hits then him and Davis hits the double team, the off the shoulder kick, then the off the shoulder DDT in the corner, and Davis gets a 2 on Yoshihashi. They end up missing the sandwich lariats, and then so Davis grabs Yoshi and Fletcher goes for the super kick, but he ends up super kicking Davis, and Yoshi gets a code breaker onto Fletcher. And dude, just this whole match, Yoshihashi just with some great fire against Fletcher and Davis. Fletcher getting a huge strike on Goto, when Goto's back in, and but then Goto takes out Davis, who's coming in, and Kyle Fletcher and Davis trade these huge strikes, but Goto gets a huge lariat to take down Fletcher. Huge running knee in the corner, and then instead of going for his running bulldog, he hits a backdrop driver to Fletcher, and it lands on his head because he's got the damaged head. So you really work the damaged head, man. It really makes sense. Everyone's taking on each other. Bishamon hit the final flash into Inushi Goroshi, but Fletcher gets a roll up. Then they go for Shoto, but Fletcher ends up getting a roll up and gets 2. Goto gets the rope assisted Shoto by himself, but can't get the win. Huge kick by Goto, and then hits a GYW, which is the FU into the GTR elbow onto Fletcher, but Davis ends up breaking that up. Yoshihashi hits a super kick to Davis and clotheslines him out of the ring. Fletcher slips out of a double team, but they end up attacking him. They go for the Shoto, but Davis ends up stopping it, and they get and then he takes out Yoshihashi, and he picks him up and then tosses him, and Fletcher hits him with the Alabama Slam. Kicks from Aussie Open to Yoshi, who gets back in, drops him twice, and Aussie Open hits the sandwich clotheslines on both Yoshihashi and Goto, who are in the center, which drops Yoshi. Then they get the sandwich clotheslines on Goto. They hit him with Coriolis, and Aussie Open are your new IWGP Tag Team Champions. I am so happy right now. This is one of the 2 teams I wanted to see win these titles, them and TMDK, and I am so happy. I'm so happy to see Aussie Open, man. Crowns up, baby, crowns up, because Aussie Open have now won the titles. This is a potential FTR rematch possibly at Forbidden Door. There's a match with Team DK being set up. There's so many other great tag teams in this company. Possibly the return of Tangaloa, who could team up with Hikuleo to challenge for the tag titles, could team up with Tama Tonga. You got the potential of Tama Tonga and Hikuleo challenging for the tag team titles. All the other plethora of tag teams. Maybe we get a Shingo Takagi and Tetsuya Naito tag team going forward. We don't know. There are so many possibilities for who can challenge for these tag team titles now. I'm so happy. Oh God, I'm so happy about this. Like, this was an amazing match from both these teams. Like, absolutely phenomenal. Highly recommend watching this match. This is my match of the night. These two teams actually amazingly killed it. Fletcher, with the head wound he had, and he continued on. After the match, they go to the outside, and Fletcher hugs Kevin Kelly, and Kevin Kelly goes, I'm really proud of you, kid. And like, it's just this beautiful moment, and it's just crowns up. Crowns up, baby. Crowns up. I'm so happy to see this win. But absolutely tremendous match. Both these teams absolutely killed it in this. I'd be okay with them running it back as long as Aussie Open retains. But yeah, amazing match. Amazing match. Move on. It's Hiromu Takahashi defending the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title against Robbie Eagles, who Kosei Fujita actually comes down with him to ringside, and Jack Sabre Jr. ends up eventually getting down to ringside, so they're both in his corner for this match. Like I said, Eagles is officially the newest member of TMDK, joined back at the New Japan Cup Finals. Hiromu applies the Raw Middle special early on to Eagles, but that's Eagles' move. And this match was really for Eagles working the knee of Hiromu Takahashi, applying that Ron Miller special, really trying to work over the knee of Hiromu. Hiromu ends up doing a sunset flip to the floor. That's where he initially hurts his knee. And this is where Robbie starts targeting the knee, doing the Ron Miller special on the barricade. He ties it up in the barricade. Reapplies it in the ring once to get back in. I'll say this. Team Decay, the way they act, I don't think they're heels because they don't have outside interference happening. They don't do outwardly heelish stuff, but they're not faces. They don't follow the rules to a T. They're not like they break the rules using weapons and all that stuff. So I wouldn't call them bad guys, but they're dicks. They're gonna we're gonna take advantage. We're gonna hurt you when it hurts. We don't care what you think, but it's that they're still kind of good guys because the crowd's still cheering for them. And I really do like that, and that Robbie Eagles has really adopted that persona because he's acting kind of like a dick in this match, but he's not doing heelish stuff. He's still Robbie Eagles. He's still who he was before, but he's got that attitude that Team Decay seems to have. Beautiful spot where Hiromu goes for Rana, but Eagles just kind of slams him down and then just ties up the knee and then just stomps the knee into the mat. Oh, and Eagles unloading kicks to Hiromu's chest, and they look brutal. Hiromu firing up at one point, gets a Rana, then a clothesline, but Robbie ends up chop blocking the knee to Hiromu, and Hiromu ends up rolling to the outside, and Robbie hits this beautiful swan dive over the top to the floor. They go into the barricade, and Robbie Eagles literally his tailbone landed on the top of the barricade. It didn't look very pretty. Back in the ring, Ron Mill special by Eagles. Hiromu struggles, does eventually get the ropes. So Eagles hits a standing Asai DDT, and then goes up top, or a standing Shinrai. It's a standing Asai DDT, and then goes up, but goes for the 450, but goes to 450, but lands. Hiromu pulls up his knees, lands on the knees, but Hiromu's now wincing in pain because his knee's been worked over. They eventually both get back up. They trade suplex spots, and Hiromu ends up hitting Victory Royale, but cannot cover him. They trade German suplexes, but Hiromu runs him into the corner and hits the time, and then gets him on the shoulders, runs him into the corner, and hits the time bomb 1, but only gets 2. They trade kicks. Hiromu gets 2 giant lariats, goes for time bomb 2, but ends up falling back to the corner, and Eagles lands on top, and Eagles ends up getting a poison Rana off the top, hits the 450 splash, goes for the Ron Miller special, but gets caught in a roll up. He then applies the Ron Miller special once he kicks out. But after a big struggle, he turns it into Hiromu ends up turning it into a pin attempt, and Eagles has to break the hold to get out of the pin. Eagles goes for the turbo backpack, but Hiromu turns it into a roll up for 2. So he goes back to the Ron Miller special, but Hiromu ends up slipping through, throws through and gets him onto his shoulders, hits a Death Valley driver, hits a huge lariat, then hits time bomb 2, and Hiromu Takahashi gets the win, retains his title. Dude, this match was absolutely incredible. If it wasn't for how I felt after the tag team title match, just put it easily contended for match of the night. But dude, absolutely tremendous from both these men. I want to see Robbie Eagles taking that title back. Oh God, for one member, he's a member of Team DK. I want to see him win the title. For 2, this guy is absolutely tremendous. He's evolving every single day. Hiromu, we'll see what happens with him going forward because we have still a little more to come from him later in the night. But yeah, absolutely tremendous match. Both these guys absolutely go. If you're going to watch stuff, watch the women's title match, TV title match, tag team title match, the IWGP tag team title match, and the World Heavyweight title match. It was good. I'm not going to say if you watch it for what happens at the end, for what comes out of it, but highly recommend, especially the tag team title, the women's, and this. And that TV title match. Those are my 4 matches I will recommend to anybody on the night. And the main event I will recommend to watch, if not the match, because again, it was a really good match from the 2 men. I just think it's the last couple of minutes and the finish you want to see. I found I looked up this thing. These guys are only 2 months apart in age. They're both 35 years old. Okada was born in November 87. Sonata born in January of 88. Both men are younger than me. That bothers me so much, but Okada comes out. Okada bucks raining from the sky. Sonata's new trunks look really good. I like the dark hair again. The neck beard is gone. I'm so happy he finally shaved. The entrance gear, I will say this for Mel, she does not like his new robe. I don't mind it. It's fine. Like, I have nothing against it, but she really doesn't like it for some reason. It looks good. I don't really hate on it. So, started early on this match. They end up on the floor. Okada runs Sonata into the barricade, but then Sonata, as Okada's fighting on the barricade, gets him up, hits a magic screw off the barricade to the floor on Okada. Dude, just these two had a really good match. There's a spot. I'm gonna go over a couple good, really big spots. Okada gets hit with the magic screw in the ring. Sonata applies the skull end, but Okada slips out and applies the money clip. And then Sonata slips out of that, gets the skull end to Okada, but then Sonata hits a TKO, applies the skull end again, but Okada keeps slipping out of. He's got the skull end in, but he keeps slipping out, and then keeps slipping out, and then keeps slipping out, but he keeps reapplying it. And then until Sonata ends up breaking it, goes to the moonsault, but Okada's not worn down enough, so he gets the knees up. Sonata missed the lariat. Okada hits the high angle German, and Okada gets two kind of short rainmakers. I want to call them. They weren't the full spin out and pull in rainmakers. He applies the money clip, and then he ends up pulling a Sonata, lets it go, goes to the top, hits the elbow drop. He goes for the rainmaker, but ends up getting a drop kick and then hits the landslide. And then he goes for the rainmaker again, but Sonata ducks under it, hits a rainmaker himself, and both guys are down. Absolutely tremendous. Like, these guys did a great job in this match. Sonata ends up trying for a Destino at one point, and he can't. So he gets off the shoulders, hits a beautiful tribute to his mentor, the Shining Wizard, tribute to great Keiji Muto, and then goes for the deadfall, which is that spin out DDT. But Okada turns it into an Emerald Flosion, and then Sonata ends up reversing the Rainmaker into the deadfall, hits it, gets on top of Okada. The ref goes 1, 2, 3. I almost lost my shit. I was super happy, dude. Absolutely tremendous. Okada has been dethroned. Sonata is your new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. So good. So good. So good. Man, these two had a great match. I'm so happy to see Sonata finally get his flowers, get his championship. Sonata gets on the mic, said he's finally the champ, and mentions a couple other things. The main spot is Hiromu comes out, and he says Sonata left LIJ and he changed the world. And then he challenges Sonata for the title. So Sonata says there's someone you have to deal with first. So Kanemaru says, you have brought up my name from time to time, and I want to challenge you. I want to challenge for your title before you challenge him for his title. So I know we're going to get a Hiromu on the road to Dontaku. We're getting Hiromu versus Yoshinobu Kanemaru in a junior heavyweight title match. But at Wrestling Dontaku, we are going to get Hiromu Takahashi challenging Sonata for the World Heavyweight Championship. So if Hiromu can retain his junior title and then beat Sonata for the world title, this guy's going to be the champion of two separate weight divisions. Like, I'm very excited to see Hiromu challenging Sonata, because when have we ever seen those two wrestle? I don't think we have. It's very possible we have, but I don't remember it. I want to see it so badly, because I'm excitedly ready for Wrestling Dontaku to see those two face off, man. But Hiromu accepts Kanemaru's challenge, so he's going to face Kanemaru on road to Dontaku, and then we'll face Sonata at Wrestling Dontaku in May. Absolutely tremendous show. This was a absolutely phenomenal show. I highly recommend checking out those top 5 matches. All those title matches were absolutely tremendous. For me personally, number 1, it's that tag team title match. It just made me so happy to see those boys finally get those titles. Like, I'm so happy. But yeah, huge shout out to them. But I want to give a big shout out to our friends over at Our Local Establishment. You can check them out, twitch.tv/Our Local Establishment, Instagram and TikTok, OLE Podcast, or youtube.com/at Our Local Establishment. Lots of great content there. I will be back fairly soon with some Marvel talk. Myself and OLED will be back at the start of May to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. Lots of other great content over there. You can check out multiple days a week. Turnbuckle Talk, Busting Out, Taking Over, Beats and Beatdowns. So much great content. Check him out every Monday. Every Monday, Carl does a Raw watch along. You can check out, hang out with him, watch some Raw with him. So I highly recommend checking all the great content from there out. So out the podcast right over there. And I want to give a big shout out to my boy Mike the Ref over at Backbreaker Media, Backbreaker Video, Backbreaker Gaming, all the great content they bring in. So youtube.com/at Backbreaker_gaming. You see all his great gaming content, which is produced on his twitch.tv/Mike the Ref channel, where he does all these great gaming stuff, great watch alongs for wrestling every Wednesday. Highly recommend. And if you want, and you may be watching us on youtube.com/at Backbreaker Video. If you're not, please check the content out. But if you are watching us there, check us out right here at youtube.com/at Andre and Melball Wrestling Talk. We thank you everybody for all the support we have gotten at Andre and Melball Wrestling Talk. We are so close to 100 subscribers, so please check us out. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on all the videos that you watch. Please comment down below. We want to hear from you. Or you can contact me on Twitter at That Canada Guy, along with on Hive and Mastodon at That Canada Guy. Or you can check me out on Instagram at That Canada Dude. You can check out my partner, the wonderful, wonderful Melball, on Twitter, Hive. Or wait, no, it's on Twitter at Collins Melball, Instagram at Melball Collins, Mastodon, I'm pretty sure is at Melball Collins. So check her out there. You can find her on Facebook at Melball Collins. Lots of great content. You can check myself and her out over on Facebook at facebook.com/Andre and Melball Wrestling Talk. You can check us out there. You can contact us there. So I want to give a big shout out to one of the shows that Melball is on, her Ladies Wrestling Showcase at youtube.com/at Asher Bizarro. Asher Bizarro, good friend. Got to give a shout out to Asher, good friend of ours. All great content over there at youtube.com/at Asher Bizarro. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. I want to thank all of you for all of your support and support from Rogue Energy. Promo code OLEPODS for 10% off your order. Scan the QR code for to get there, or go to rogueenergy.com. I want to thank them for all their support. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for checking us out. Excuse me. We will be back next week with more New Japan Pro Wrestling, New Japan Puroresu review, more Stardom review, more Chop Talk, where we're going to talk about the show myself and Mel are going to Thursday, April 13th, featuring Evil Uno taking on Harlan Abbott for Top Talent Pro Wrestling. We'll be back with that next week too. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for supporting us. All the love, all the everything. You guys have a great night. Adios.